Hello and welcome back to Start Coding with MK. Today we will transform this inline CSS grid layout into a Bootstrap 5 layout. We will achieve the same look and feel using Bootstrap's powerful grid system. We will maintain the link element format to define the style sheet relationship and copy the Bootstrap 5 CDN URL in our hypertext reference so as to use its CSS file in the front-end development. Next, let's remove the inline CSS code and move towards using Bootstrap classes for our layout. We will then proceed to our div elements and apply Bootstrap classes to the container. We will transform our container into a Bootstrap grid container by replacing the current CSS with Bootstrap classes. In our body element, we will use the following Bootstrap utilities to match the properties we outlined in our inline CSS code. We will use the bgdark, deflex, justify content center, align items center, and we'll set the viewport height to 100% of the available viewport height. We will now use the Bootstrap grid system to replicate our layout. We will create rows and columns. Bootstrap's grid system is responsive by default. However, we will introduce a few more classes utilities to ensure our layout adjusts on different screen sizes. We will then style our div container with the following class utilities. These include container, bgwhite, p4, and shadow. Let us create our first row and assign it the class row mp3. This is a grid row with a margin at the bottom of 3 units. By default, a CSS row has 12 columns. In our CSS code, our first grid row spans all the 12 columns. Its background color is set to BG warning, font is set to text primary, justify is set to content center, align is set to items center, padding is set to P4, and corners are rounded. For the second row, we will create a parent div container with classes, rows, and mp3. Inside this parent div, we will add 3 div elements, and each child div will have the following. It will use the call for MD4 for medium-sized devices. It will use call 12 for small devices. It will have a background color of BG warning. It will use the text primary for the font color. It will use deflex to make it a flexible container. We will set it to justify content center to center the content horizontally. It will use align item center to center the content vertically. It will have a padding of 4 units, and it will have rounded corners using the rounded class. Having created the row 1 and row 2, we can now replicate them to row 3 for row 1 and row 4 for row 2. And then we will have succeeded in creating our grid layout using the Bootstrap CDN. And that is the end of this tutorial.